Wait a minute. It's Friday? It's time for Stan the Fan, Chief Grand Poobah Man, and the Friday Baseball Show. Griffin Bass helps bring more class to the Friday Baseball Show. They'll talk fast games, Dan Charles is his name on the Friday Baseball Show. He's been in the owner's suite. He's been doing sports talk since 81. He's only lived in Baltimore for 45 years, but we'll give him a break on that, They'll acknowledge football, don't expect calls. It's the Friday Baseball Show. It's okay to say Glenn's back on Monday, but this is the Friday Baseball Show. The Friday Baseball Show. The Friday Baseball Show.
And it is the Friday Baseball Show. I'm Stan the Fan, back in studio, surviving and thriving from my hip replacement surgery.
You definitely look like you're thriving, Stan. You look good.
I'm thriving, man.
You ran up those steps coming in here.
Well, don't tell the doctor that.
Okay.
I did, but don't tell him that. Griffin Bass, who brings some class, is here with us, and special guest who's going to join us roughly on a monthly basis is Byron Warnken from WarnkenLaw.com.
Hey, guys.
We got a lot to talk about on the show today. Our guest today at 11:15, former Orioles GM, former Red Sox GM, former Montreal Expos GM, and currently consultant to some MLB teams. Dan Duquette joins us at 11:15, and old friend Roch Kubatko is from MASN, will join us at about 11:40. A lot to talk about. Orioles could not sweep an inept Los Angeles Angels team. If you take away his 9 or 10 innings against the Orioles, I think Ryan Johnson's ERA would be about 11.
Yeah, I think Jacob Calvin-Meyer or somebody shared it yesterday, and yeah, it's like he's given up 44 runs in 40 innings.
And he's given up 1 in 10.
Yeah, 1 in 10 innings, 10 and 2/3 against the Orioles.
Yeah,
so,
unbelievable.
with a sub-1 whip against the Orioles as well.
Yeah.
So.
But the Orioles continue to get decent starting pitching. It wasn't Brandon Young's best day, but he toughed it through, 4
innings?
4 plus 1 inning, 1/3 of an inning.
Yeah,
it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't one of his better outings.
A lot of traffic, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of traffic. We got a lot to talk about with the trades and all the prospects the Orioles hauled in and all that. But Byron, where do you think the Orioles stand right now? Do you think they did the right thing at the deadline?
I have an unpopular opinion here, which is I was okay with it. I was really okay to see.
I was too.
Yeah, and I know the fan base is upset, but yeah. We weren't getting what we needed from Adley. We weren't getting what we needed from some of the decisions that we had made in the past, and it was time to take a slightly different direction. And I'm actually curious to hear from Duquette about whether he thinks, there's clearly whether there's a strategy shift going on. As he looks at this from the outside, is this a strategy shift? All these young arms that you were talking about before we were on the air.
Yeah. Well, Griffin, you're much younger than I am. I'm 74 years old, so I've been around this team for close to 45, 50 years. I have never seen a collection of arms that have excited me. And at the end of the day, you can...
In the Orioles system.
Yeah. In the Orioles system, yeah. At the end of the day, you can say all you want about the offense. If you've got young pitching coming through the pipeline that you control, and who knows what the new basic agreement will bring in terms of how many controllable years you'll have with people, but I think it'll be similar. It might be one less year or something like that at the end of the day. But this is, I count 12, and I haven't exhausted it. I counted 12 really good pitching prospects, Griff.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember a time. Grayson was never like the number one prospect in the Orioles system, was he?
Yes, he was.
He was.
Yeah,
He was. Okay,
yeah.
I guess I wasn't sure. For some reason I thought he would
I
always
said
been.
you were young. You
Yeah.
were about 12 years old when he came up.
I thought he was preceded by Adley and Holiday and whatever. But yeah, I mean, okay, so Grayson would be, but that was just one guy. He was at most.
And then
it was
after
never
that,
one
there
guy.
was Grayson and there was D.L. Hall.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
D.L. Hall, every time he pitched, you kept your fingers crossed. This is even before Grayson started having the lat problems.
Sure.
But every time D.L. Hall pitched, you go, oh, God, please don't. And he kept getting hurt, which is why 5 years ago I was saying he was a relief pitcher.
Yeah,
which is what he's doing now.
They've got 5 pitchers, 5 starters as well, like in their top 10, according to MLB pipeline. I mean, yeah, it is, and I guess to go back to your Adley question, like it is twofold. Like I think it's a really fair reaction to be upset and emotional about losing Adley and kind of the team, kind of Mike Elias and them saying we're punting on this team and on this season and saying that even though they are what a game and a half.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that what they've done is going to limit their ability to get into the playoffs.
But yeah, and then on the other side of it, yeah, you can look at their revamped farm system here, and they've got a lot of exciting young arms in the system for the first time. I mean, yeah, to your point, Stan, like ever.
It turns now. The pivot now is, can they develop these guys and take them that next step up, which I think has been a problem as well, more so because they haven't invested in young arms. They've invested in the Kerstats, the Mayos, the Stowers, Norby, and all these guys, Cowser, who else? Beavers, and then the last
Anderson,
3 number 1 picks prior to last year were Honeycutt, Bradfield, and I'm missing one, and Kerstat. They've done nothing. They haven't developed any of those.
Irish
guys.
last year, yeah.
Well, Irish is looking very good.
Yes, and of course he's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Now. He tore his meniscus last week.
And Nate George, we don't know.
Yeah, he's also
what is wrong. He has some type of health issue that's non-baseball related.
Right.
So I don't know what that is. But from an actuarial standpoint, and that's something you make your living on a little bit, right?
A little bit.
The fact that Rutschman, whether you loved him or hated him, and I became exceedingly frustrated with him after the second half of 24 and certainly last year. And then this year, despite the fact that the performance was better, they're calling it resurgent, the fact that he's been on the IL 5 times in 2 seasons, that doesn't bode really well for a guy you'd want to sign to a long-term deal.
I am curious as a personal injury lawyer about these potentially pre-existing conditions or the overall conditioning. And you know what? What's interesting? Like I don't know how much. I'm not sure how much who you are as a clubhouse guy, and I don't know. I only know the rumors about Rutschman, but I think some of this stuff matters, and the fan base doesn't really realize it. I mean, he was a guy who. I think the conditioning was in question. Yeah. I think
that's a reasonable,
I've taken my kids to get
Look, his conditioning had nothing to do with the fact that he got hit in the head by an errant throw.
Well, I was going to say you can't control the injuries, but you can control who you are as a person and who you are as a clubhouse guy and how hard you work. And I don't know whether he worked hard or not. I mean, who am I? I'm just some random personal injury lawyer in Baltimore. I'm not.
That sponsors the Stan the Fan show and his power rankings.
Yeah. But I do know that I've taken my kids to get autographs a number of times, and there have been some Orioles who have been incredibly generous with their time and attention. Gunnar Henderson very much included. And there was one notable who was just never around, never there, and just always walked by, and it was Rutschman.
Yeah.
So I don't want to judge a man by a few limited things, but
the fact that he turned away your son.
Well, and that's so it was easier.
SOB.
It was easier for me to see him go because I won't forget that. But it's.
But is injuries is his history over the last 2 seasons. Is that at all indicative of what's in store for the Red Sox now with him, or you can't predict that?
Well, we've all heard this. Injured players get injured.
Yeah.
And I think he's falling into that category.
I think
certainly.
he's falling into it.
And look, I actually wish him well. I mean, he was, there's some nostalgia of, what a big draft pick he was, and that 1 overall, and
what a missed draft pick he was when you could have had Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt Jr. at number 2.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time thinking, hey, is this gonna be good? And there were times where it looked like it was great, actually.
Yeah.
And so, I wish him well, but injured players get injured.
Yeah. I mean, that's the complicated part of it. Like, because in a sense, he did. I mean, it was a very short window, I guess, much shorter than you expect for a 1-1. But in a sense, he did live up to it for a minute there. Because as soon as he got here, they were like the best team in baseball for the next 2 calendar years.
He was very good from the day he got up here until
mid 2024,
mid June 2024, and then who knows what the hell happened to him.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother, this is anecdotal, is friends with somebody that lived next to him and said he broke up with his girlfriend. And that can mess with your head.
Sure.
There's no question about it. But then 25 got totally complicated by the 2 oblique injuries. But,
And
I think it was time. And this is a guy who, if he was humble enough to have said, I don't feel like I've lived up to things, I'll take a 2-year, $30 million contract. I think he was looking for money north. I think he used Cal Raleigh as like the touchstone, and Raleigh got like 6 years, $105 million. I think he wanted significantly more than that.
Closer to like a Joe Mauer.
I think he wanted about $130, $140 million, maybe for 5 years, or maybe 6.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, that his injuries didn't make me feel comfortable wanting to see what he'd look like 3 or 4 years down the road.
Sure. I think as a fan base, the Orioles are going to be really upset next year, because I think going into that contract year, I think he's going to have a monster year next year.
Yeah, with Boston.
With Boston.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Boston gave up a lot of talent, whether they come through to be, and the kid Azokar.
What's his name? Yes.
Azokar.
Andy
Azokar. He's 5 for 10 in his first 2 games for Frederick.
That's not bad.
Center fielder. And by the way, Griffin told me that Anthony Ianson is due to pitch tomorrow night at Bowie.
For Chesapeake, yeah.
For Chesapeake, okay.
And yes, they are home. So
and they're home. Who are they playing?
They're playing Harrisburg, I believe.
Oh, the old Harrisburg
Senators.
They used to be the Senators. They changed their name, I think.
No, I believe they're still the Senators.
Still the Senators. Yeah. Okay. All right. My old
635.
friend Mark
Prince
Butler
George's
used to own that team. The CEO of Ollie's before he passed away. Anyway, Dan Duquette joins us in just a couple minutes, and a little bit later on in the show, Roch Kubatko at 11:40. We'll take a look at this week in the rest of baseball, and we'll talk more. The Orioles are. Do we have Dan?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
we do.
We've got Orioles and Rangers tonight on Apple TV at 8:00. It'll be on Apple TV, and tomorrow night the game is on Fox, correct?
Yes, tomorrow night on Fox.
Is tomorrow night 7?
Yeah, 7 or 7:15.
7:15.
Yeah,
okay.
Good pitching matchup tomorrow night.
Good pitching matchup tonight. Evaldi and Boz tomorrow night. Bradish and DeGrom, right?
Correct.
Okay. Joining us now is the former general manager of the Baltimore Orioles and an old friend of mine, Dan Duquette, and he joins us now. Dan, how are you?
Sure, I got Dan. Hold on.
Do we have Dan?
I thought we did. Hold on.
All
Sit
right.
tight for me.
All right. Is he going to join us on Zoom?
I thought he was. Give
Okay.
me, keep talking about Adley Rutschman, Stan.
We'll keep talking about Adley Rutschman and how happy we are that he's gone after he snubbed Gibson Warnken. Warnken Law, by the way, phone number 443 results. And that phone number, you like to say, it's like a mantra, is not just a phone number. It is a mission statement.
That's right. Results and communication. We got to be about those two things. But 443 results and communication didn't fit. So we're starting with the results, and communication's there as well. So, but I'm really proud of my team. I got a great team.
You do have a great team, no question about it. And if
you've
you've been injured in the Baltimore area or and throughout the state of Maryland, you want to call Warnken Law at 443-RESULTS or look them up on the web at warnkenlaw.com. And if you've been injured in another state like I was and you live in Baltimore, Byron will get you hooked up with a lawyer that can handle your case. All right.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that.
We have an ear there. We have Griffin's ear. But we're going to be joined by Dan Duquette momentarily. All right. Can you clue us in on what's going on, Mr. Bass? Is he just joining us on the phone?
Yeah. He's trying to get connected, so we'll let you want to step aside. We'll take a break and we'll
take a quick timeout and be back with Dan Duquette. I'm here with Byron Warnken of Warnken Law and also Griffin Bass. We'll be right back after these words.
Don't fumble your fantasy football draft. Host your party at Sports and Social Inside Live Casino. We've got everything you need to make the night a winner with massive screens, cool drinks, great food, and Wi-Fi that won't drop the ball. Reserve your table by August 20th to enter our early draft bonus drawing. Draft like a pro at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
This is Byron Warnken. If you've been injured in a car or truck crash, you probably know this is stressful. Medical bills, the insurance company giving you the runaround, you got to get your car fixed. You don't just need a lawyer, you need results. At Warnken LLC, we represent the injured across Maryland. Whether it's a car or truck crash case, medical malpractice, or any other serious personal injury, we fight for maximum compensation for you and maximum ease for you. You don't want to have to deal with this stuff. Warnken LLC has been voted best personal injury law firm in Maryland for a reason. For us, 443-RESULTS isn't just a phone number, it's our mission. Get the advocate that you need. Call us today, 443-RESULTS, or visit us online, warnkenlaw.com. That's WARNKENLAW.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
When you feel invisible, exhausted, stressed, or anxious, when you have days that just feel too hard to get through, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health or problems with drugs or alcohol, help is right in your hands. Call or text 988 to get support whenever you need it. Help is here. Call or text 988. Brought to you by Maryland Department of Health.
Hi, everyone. There's nothing I love more than hearing Stan the Fan and Griffin talk baseball. Here they are.
All right, back on the show, the Friday Baseball Show. Stan the Fan, Griffin Bass, special guest Byron Warnken in with us. And joining us now by telephone is Dan Duquette, former general manager of the Baltimore Orioles. Dan, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Stan. How are you?
Good. What's wrong with the phone service down there in Wilmington, North Carolina?
We just had a thunderstorm, and we don't have internet access right now.
That's all right.
So
we'll get the same. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We do have it. We do have it here in North Carolina, but not right now.
All right. Hey, it's great to talk to you. And before we dig into the Orioles, I wanted to ask you, because I'm assuming you know John Mozeliak pretty well, don't you?
Yeah, I know John. He was with the Cardinals for several years.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, did it catch you by surprise that he came back in, and especially as such a tough situation as the Angels?
Yeah, I don't know what John his personal goals are, but
yeah.
I do know the Angels are a really top-notch franchise. I mean, they can be a top-notch franchise, you know. They're a lot like the Orioles were when I joined them.
Yep.
You know, they haven't been in the playoffs in a long time.
I think we lost him.
No, I think he's there.
You still there, Dan? No, we lost him. I heard it click off. All right. So the phone service there in Wilmington, North Carolina, not so good either.
I think he's back.
You're back, Dan?
Yeah.
All right, we lost you for a second. Yeah. But I agree with you. I agree the Angels situation, I refer to it as a tough situation because of where they currently are talent-wise. But do you think he can succeed there?
Well, you know, I don't know. There's the franchise is a lot like the Orioles when I joined them. You know, they haven't been to the playoffs in a long time, and they haven't had a competitive team, I don't think, in 11 years, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, if somebody goes in there and they get the team organized, you know, it's a great market.
No question about it. No question about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Dan. I'm kind of curious how you know, Orioles were in a very unique situation, I guess, at the trade deadline. You know, with the American League being so weak, so they were only like 2.5 games out of a playoff spot, but also still, you know, you can't really blame them, I guess, for kind of selling the way that they ended up doing. So I'm curious how, like, you would determine what did you determine whether you were gonna, like, you know, sell at the deadline, if you were going to go all in and buy or stand pat, that kind of thing. You know, so what do you make of what the Orioles did?
Well, you know, my theory is that if you're in the race and you're in the pennant race, you owe it to the team and the fans to do what you can to get your team organized.
Looks like
I'm gonna try to call you on the phone on the phone, Dan. I'll call you in like 2 seconds. All right, how about that?
Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Right. We're having trouble communicating with Dan right now, but that's sort of the big question: is did they do the right thing at this point in time, Byron?
I also don't think it's as consequential as folks think. I mean, we want to believe that this is massively consequential. I'm not really sure that it is. There's a lot of talent there. I think that we are a competitive team. I think we will remain a competitive team. I think this is just about direction.
I'm good. Dan, you hear me okay?
And when we signed Basayo, it's like, what did people think? We were going to have 2 massive long-term deals to catchers?
Right.
I mean, it just and I like to, you know, we got a great deal with Samuel, but you know, but for Rutschman to think that he was going to get signed behind Basayo, I don't think that was going to happen.
I think
that was never going to happen.
I think he knew that as well.
Right.
We're talking with Dan Duquette, and we've had some phone issues. Hopefully they're behind us. Byron, you got a question for Dan?
Hey, Dan, Byron Warnken here. I had a question about it. Did you come in? Did you take over for Andy McPhail? Is that right?
Yeah, I came in at the end of 2011.
Okay.
In December of 2011, and I think Andy had left a little bit earlier that year.
Gotcha. Okay.
The Orioles were looking for somebody to replace Andy.
Sure. I remember I saw Andy speak about this one time, that his theory he wanted to be was buy the bats and grow the arms. And are you seeing, from your perspective right now, maybe a shift lately, and especially with this deal for Adley, back towards that?
Well, I think you have to develop some pitchers on your own too to give yourself a foundation. And the teams that do that, they can be competitive year in and year out. We were able to develop some pitchers during my time there, and we developed quite a few pitchers during my time with the Red Sox, and a lot of those guys we ended up using for trade to get established major league pitchers. So I think you got to place some emphasis and have a player development operation where you draft pitchers and you develop some pitchers so that you can have some basis for pitching within your system, and then also have some pitchers that you can utilize in trade for whatever you need at the big league level.
Sure.
So I think you have to grow as many players as you can on the farm, pitchers and players.
But Dan, I'm looking at the Orioles, and I've followed them, as you know. I was on the radio for 20 plus years, way before you got to town, and I never recall seeing at least a dozen starting pitchers that I think are really viable candidates to contribute at the major league level.
Well, I think you always need numbers in the minor leagues, right? And you need numbers in the big leagues too, because there's so many injuries, with teams chasing velocity all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a certain cost to that. So I think the teams that focus on drafting pitchers, signing pitchers at the amateur level, and then developing them, that gives them a lot of collateral to build their team either through the farm system or through trade. So, I think it behooves all the teams to put a lot of resources into that.
Yeah, it seems at the trade deadline last year that Mike Elias, both at the trade deadline and last year's draft, where he drafted Joseph Zerwa and J.T. Quinn, and then at the deadline last year, he acquired Boston Bateman, Jerron Watts-Brown, and there was somebody else in there, that he shifted, and he's continued to do that. This year, they drafted about 9 pitchers in the draft, and then he continued to add pitchers, which is something I haven't seen out of Mike Elias in his 7 years here.
Yeah, I think that, the Orioles, when they're not contenders, it's because their starting pitching isn't as strong as it needs to be, right? And so the team, when they get off to a bad start, it's either because they had a starting pitching rotation where they had a bunch of injuries, or they didn't have the horses on the front of their rotation to stabilize their team. So that to me makes good sense to focus on the pitching. And I think the Orioles, when they came back to get back in the race this year, when they got their starting pitching stabilized, that's when their team started to move up in the standings. That's when they were able to put some streaks together.
No question about it. No question about it. Byron?
Dan, are you? What is your thoughts with your extensive background on what we're seeing with pitchers? I heard you say chasing velocity, but is the era of just constant injuries and multiple Tommy Johns, is that here to stay for forever, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, but the having the good pitchers and developing players on your farm, that's a key thing. People say that when Mike Elias started, that he took over a train wreck, and that wasn't the case. We had an established minor league system, and we left some good players on the farm system available to help the team. And I think Mike acknowledged that when they made the playoffs after a short rebuild.
Yeah,
that he got a contribution from the Oriole farm system. as far as the injury goes, that's an area that you got to watch very carefully. All the medical people, all the instructional people, the manager, the management, they got and the pitchers, they got to all collaborate on that to stay healthy, right? There's certain things you got to do to stay healthy. Remember, we had Dave Wallace as a pitching coach there?
Sure do.
And when we had Dave Wallace as a pitching coach, we happened to have a great year because Dave Wallace focused on the health of his pitchers. That was paramount in his training as a coach, and he always professed that. Dave Wallace was the pitching coach of the 2004 Red Sox, if you remember.
Yep.
And they had a starting rotation of Pedro Martinez and Derek Lowe and Tim Wakefield and Kurt Schilling and Bronson Arroyo. And every single one of those pitchers in 2004, when the Red Sox won the World Series and broke the curse, they made their start.
Yeah.
And Dave Wallace was the pitching coach there. And we were fortunate to have Dave Wallace with us for a couple of years. And when we did, he focused on the pitcher's health because he knew that's paramount.
Dan, I wanted to ask you, the Orioles have given extensions to Shane Baz as soon as they acquired him, like a month later, it seemed like or 2 months later, they hooked him up with a 5-year deal. Now they've added an extension to Kyle Bradish. If you were in the Oriole position of power and authority, what would Trevor Rogers' contract look like for you? And do you think he is worth an extension?
Well, I mean, Trevor Rogers has been a really good addition to the team. I'd have to take a look at his record, his health record, all those things. It's just so hard with the pitchers to prepay him. It's a very valuable commodity, the pitching, and 60% of them spend time on the disabled list every single year. So, you got to be careful when you're investing in your team on a long-term basis. So I don't know. Trevor Rogers has been good for the Orioles, but I don't know enough about him to know if it would be a good investment for the team.
Dan, this is Byron again. So I'm an injury lawyer and I'm a sponsor of the show, and that's why Stan has me on.
He knows nothing. He knows nothing about baseball.
I know nothing. But I am curious. If you do a long-term deal with a pitcher, are there insurance companies that will provide a policy for the organization? And
how expensive are those?
And if so, is it a fortune?
Do we lose Dan again?
Potentially.
Been trouble. Yeah. I can tell you that there are insurance companies.
I think Dan just didn't want to answer that question. That's I understand entirely.
Yeah. We're trying them back again?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're getting a call question by question. We have to call them back. I can tell you that there are insurance companies, but it is expensive.
Right. Right. And
but when you're talking about, 120, Rogers is probably now 120 million. If Bradish got 90, Rogers must be 120 to 140, I'm thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
so a couple $1 million there. Dan, you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back with you guys. Right. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Still thundering and raining here in North Carolina.
Soggy lines down in Wilmington, North Carolina. Byron's question was, with pitching contracts, long-term contracts, 5-6 years, are there insurance underwriters that will take that, and how expensive is it?
Well, there was a active insurance market, but given the history of the industry with all the injuries and the teams collected on the pitchers, those contracts are a lot harder to lay off some of the risks to an insurance company. So these days, if you do have a pitcher and he has a previous injury, they can insure the pitcher, but a lot of times they'll exclude the injured area. So if the player had a Tommy John, they might exclude the elbow. So the cost of the insurance and the availability of insurance has been limited. given the history of the industry. So it gets tougher and tougher. So a lot of teams are self-insuring, right? When you make the investment, you are investing that money, and then if the player gets hurt, you're not necessarily going to get subsidized by somebody else for that injury.
Okay.
So it's gotten a lot harder given the number of injuries there has been throughout the industry.
I'm used to insurance companies not paying. Maybe I should go fight for MLB teams.
I think that's a great idea. Great idea. Dan,
Well,
is the premium pegged on? In other words, is there a lot difference for the insurance company if Trevor Rogers was going to be on a 3-year contract as opposed to a 6-year contract? And I'm not saying the player would. But.
Yeah, well, it's the risk profile you'd have to take a look at. Like I said, they used to be a lot easier to get, but they're a lot harder to get now. And I'm not sure. Some of the major market clubs have been self-insuring. They haven't been utilizing insurance. They've just been investing the money in their major league payroll.
Dan, Griffin has one question, and I got a real quick one for you before we let you go.
Yeah,
go ahead, Griffin.
Dan, I'm curious, what do you think is a fair analysis of the job that Mike Elias, since you mentioned him earlier, what's the fair analysis of the job that Mike Elias has done to this point? I mean, you mentioned it was a quick way out of the rebuild. It was a miserable rebuild, but they did quickly win 100 games out of that. But now they're back to selling again. How should we feel about Mike Elias?
Well, Mike came in to rebuild the team through the draft, and I think that, he had some players there when he got there, and he had some high draft picks, which he was able to add to the team. And, some of the people that we had there contributed to that. Brad Ciolek and Danny Haas, they were very good guys for the team, and they've contributed to help the Orioles. The job has its ups and downs. I think the biggest disappointment the Oriole fans have is that they went through the rebuild and they expected a period of time like we had from 12 to 16. We had the best record in the league from 2012 to 2016. And I think the Orioles fans' expectation, given the farm system ratings that they got and the players that they had after they made the playoffs. When did we make the playoffs? 23 and 24?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the fans' expectations were that the team was going to be competitive, year in and year out for a stretch of time. And I think that's where fans are disappointed. It's American League East is a tough place to do business, man. All those teams are good. And I sense that the Orioles fans are frustrated because, the team hasn't won a playoff game since 2014, since we beat the Pirates. We got knocked out by the Kansas City Royals in the World Series.
Yeah.
And that was a good team, but we had a bunch of injuries. Davis wasn't available, Machado wasn't available, Wieters wasn't available, and we replaced those guys on the run. And during the season, we had Ryan Flaherty started the playoff game at third. We had Steve Pierce starting at first, who had a great year, and then we had Todd Hundley behind the plate. And so we were competing for the pennant, but we didn't have our, top three guys. So, I just think the fans are disappointed. And on a long-term basis, if you don't have a good rotation, I don't know how you and those pitchers are healthy. I don't know how you can compete and win more games than you lose,
Dan,
particularly in the American League East. So, it's a tough place to do business, and things aren't going to go your way all the time.
Dan, before we let you go, about a year ago I had you on, and you gave me a statistic about how many more players are on the IL today than there were like 10 years ago. And you gave me a figure like the number doubled in 10 years. Was that right? Do you remember?
Well, the amount of money teams are paying players on the disabled list is over $1 billion a year now.
Unbelievable.
And almost 2 out of every 3 pitchers spend time on the disabled list every year. So
all right,
that's an issue for the industry. But that's something that if you're running a ball club, you got to take into account and do the best you can to have as much depth as you can on your roster.
All right. Dan, appreciate your being with us. One of your favorite writers, Roch Kubatko, is going to join us in just a second.
Oh, good. Say hello to Roch, and hopefully next time I can join you on video. I won't have a thunderstorm down here in North Carolina.
All right. They used to say for me, I used to have a face for radio, but you have a better face. I'll talk to you soon, Dan.
Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. There's Dan Duquette. And joining us right now is Roch Kubatko from MASNsports.com. Roch, how are you, my friend?
Good. That was fun to see Dan, man. That brings back memories of covering the team. You how an executive is. You want to get something confirmed. You text or call. You hear nothing.
Right.
Then randomly, I'd get like a call at 9 a.m. Hey, you at the gym? Like, no, I'm visiting my mom. Well, anyway, we just signed so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, we're doing an interview. And I'm scrambling for my notepad and pen. I got a kick out of Dan.
I'm sorry we were a little late getting to you. Our conversation with Dan, he was supposed to join us by Zoom. They got terrible storms in Wilmington, North Carolina. So he joined us by phone, and every time we asked him a question, his phone cut off. And then we had to call him back each question. So,
hey, let me ask you, Oriole Hall of Fame, Dan Duquette, yes or no?
I have no problem with Dan Duquette. I'm working very hard, though, next year to get Larry Lucchino in.
Yes.
Long overdue.
Oh, so is Andy Etchebarren. That's all. You could do a whole show on why Etch isn't in the Oriole Hall of Fame, but we digress.
Excellent point. Hey, I'm on here with friend and sponsor Byron Warnken from Warnken Law.
Hi, Roch. How are you?
And
how you doing?
We're going to talk to Roch for about 15 minutes. Roch, what do you make? I know it was a tough decision, but how really at the end of the day, how tough was it for Mike Elias not to pull the trigger on something like he did with Adley?
Yeah, this is the ultimate example of what they say 2 things can be true. I mean, they got a terrific prospect haul back from Rutschman, and there was no indication at all that he was going to be staying in Baltimore as far as a long-term extension, even though the team doesn't talk about these things for obvious reasons. So if you're able to get what you're able to get for him right there, I mean, what is it? All of a sudden, it's like their numbers 1, 6, and 7, or 7 and 8 prospects, plus Michael Ferret in the Tyler Wells deal was slotted at 6. So you do it, but if that was 2019 or 2020, then I think people are celebrating it. I think when I caught the end of Dan, what he was saying, it's true, is that this is 2026. This is Pete Alonso and Taylor Ward and Ryan Helsley and Shane Baz, and they're supposed to be competing for the World Series, and you trade Adley Rutschman and 2 other guys that screams that you were selling instead of buying. So I can see the reaction from fans, and especially when you're a couple games out of the wild card. Now at this point, they're only 1 game back because the American League is so bad.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not push the chips all in then? I can see why fans feel that way. But they've always operated where we're looking at this year, but also down the road. And they're going to be a much stronger organization. You can tell, I think the farm system rankings, all of a sudden, they're like second behind maybe the Rays. So you're looking beyond 2026, but I know there are fans that say, look, we got to focus more on this year because we still have a shot here. And they still do anyway. But I think I can see why it was a gut punch. I don't think it was an aggressive shopping of him, but they took advantage of the market. Teams needed a catcher, and it was 3 teams in their own division. I know they had talked to the Reds. I'm sure there were others. And also, Mike Elias, when he talked to us in the dugout shortly before the deadline, kind of indicated it could be buy and sell. You don't put it all, what he's saying, in one bucket. But then he told us later, hey, I can't tell you everything I'm doing. We don't want the other team to know. So he was probably, making it seem a little more likely they also would be buying than he had actually intended for obvious business reasons. He didn't want that to get out to other teams to try and take advantage of that.
Byron?
Does that happen a lot, Roch, where the media is both they do share a ton with you, and I know you have great relationships, and they're also kind of using the media to kind of suggest their positioning, maybe bluffing, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly plenty of examples of that where it's, I mean, especially in this day and age, more so now in social media than back in the day where it was just who's going to pick up the newspaper and read these quotes. Now it's all over social media. So I think so. I mean, I don't think Michael Elias was in 100% like, I need to get this out here. It's not true, but let them report it. But it definitely was a case where he was not going to reveal specific details of what they were looking to do. So, I mean, I understand that part. But yeah, so look, there are times, and I always appreciated Andy McPhail back in the day. He'd be like, Roch, I can't constantly answer these questions for you about during the trade deadline, but he would give me like, I wouldn't go too far down that road. And that means this is not true. Or you might want to double back on your source for that, But then I have other examples. God bless him, Mike Flanagan, when he was in the front office, and there was the Sammy Sosa rumor. And Chicago media was reporting the Orioles are going to trade for him. And Flanny told me that's 100% not true. Shoot that one down as much as you got. And then they end up trading for Sammy Sosa. And he told me, well, things can change with one phone call. And I was like, come on, Mike. So it's things that you just kind of deal with in this business.
Hey, Roch, you're not as old as I am, but you've been around a while. I mean, I've been around since the late 70s, early 80s, and I have never seen an Oriole organization this full of legitimate starting pitching prospects the way we are now. I mean, including Mike Florett, who we just reacquired. I count 12 or 13 legitimate guys, and I'm probably missing the guys we drafted this year and a couple others. Have you ever seen the organization this rich in what I call legitimate pitching prospects?
Not at all. And even when Mike Elias came aboard and suddenly the farm system was one of the best or the best in baseball, it was really position player heavy.
Yeah.
And in part because he doesn't draft pitchers in the first round, but it was just all about position players. So it's like if they ever can get some pitching as well, and of course some of these so far position players haven't panned out, but this is absolutely the most pitching talent that I've seen. And, I've been covering this team full time since 97. But I mean, I was a fan growing up.
Yeah.
The first game I went to was a 71 World Series with Jim Palmer pitching. Game 2, won 11-3. And it was, so back then you had the pitching, but certainly not since I've been covering the team. And not to take a shot here, but I think at one time, John Stevens, remember him from Australia?
Yeah, sure.
He was a minor league pitcher of the year multiple times because he was the best guy they had.
Yep.
And some of the attempts they made to get pitching, Bo Hale from Texas in 2000,
Yep.
He had 1.5 million innings on that shoulder when he showed up. Chris Smith, who, was a high 7th overall pick.
Yeah, Wade Boggs didn't Wade Boggs make that pick for Roland Heeman?
Who?
Wade Boggs.
Right.
He went to the same high school or something that Wade Boggs went to or something. So Roland Heeman asked Boggs what he thought of him.
Really?
Yeah.
Of Chris Smith. And then, there was Richard Stahl and Mike Paradise and all of these guys that you forget about that it didn't work out. So yes, they absolutely now are loaded with pitching. And that's why even the Tyler Wells trade that isn't that popular because he was a high leverage guy under team control beyond this year. But in return, they were able to get Florett, who they look at as a very close to being ready major league pitchers or number 6 prospects. So you would normally make that swap. If you get a, near or top of the rotation type starting talent for a reliever, you normally do that.
Griff?
Roch, great to chat with you. What should we be watching for most from this team over the next 2 months? I mean, obviously, they said one game out of the playoff picture, so we should still be wanting to see them win as many games as humanly possible, but also how much of these next 2 months should be, hoping to see guys that could really, really impact, especially in the outfield specifically, is what I'm kind of referencing here with Beavers and Cowser and Heston Kjerstad's not here right now, but, hopefully we see him in a few weeks. What should we really be paying attention to as we look at the rest of 26 and ahead to 27?
Yeah, I mean, certainly first and foremost, it's still, can they get a wild card spot despite being largely sellers here. That's going to be the thing that holds the most interest. There isn't that top prospect watch like we had last year. When's Basayo coming up? When's Beavers coming up? And in past years, it was always, whether it was Rutschman or Holiday or Cowser. We don't really have that right now because some of the top guys, well, first of all, they're either hurt or they're just not major league ready yet. They're more lower level. But there are still a few guys that keep an eye on as well. Maybe some of the guys that they have a card. Maybe Ferret does end up coming up. I don't know whether you'd plug him in a rotation if you're still in a playoff spot. But if they do end up dropping out of it, maybe they want to go ahead and take a look at him. Kirstad, it certainly wouldn't be his debut, but that's a guy, and I talked to him yesterday on the phone for a little bit. That's the guy that I'm really curious about because I think he's out of minor league options next year, and he's not a kid anymore. And it's like, are you going to give him another shot and take a look at this guy being a left-handed hitting outfielder who is not considered a plus defender, obviously, and you've got Beavers, you've got Cowser, you've got switch hitting, Leody Taveras. Is there even a spot for him? And when Basayo comes back and he DHs sometimes, but what are you going to do with him? I thought maybe they might try to package him in a deal or something, but I'm curious whether he does get another look and whether you kind of shop him in the off season, or is there still a spot for him? So I'm really curious about him. But first and foremost, it's still, can this team really defy the odds and make the playoffs? And this 10-game, 3-city road trip might determine that. Then again, the way the Orioles have been spinning their wheels all season, I could see them going like 5-5 and still being a game and a half or 2 games out, and we're still not going to know whether they have a chance or not.
Roch, looking at the club, and I haven't given up at all on 26, partly because of what you alluded to, how weak the American League is. But looking ahead next year, clearly they've got to clear up some stuff in that outfield, decide who is really going to be a part of this. Is Cowser the guy to stick with, at least in a platoon and center? But my question is more about the infield. Could you see, and I'm not suggesting, I know it's a long-winded question, Roch, but I'm not suggesting that Craig Albernaz is showcasing Holiday as a shortstop, but could you see, with Westberg coming back from the Tommy John surgery, could you see him being moved to second, Gunnar moved to third, and Holiday at short next year? Or am I way off my skis on that?
Look, I mean, anything is possible with this team. Every time I think I have a grasp on what they're doing, and then they go ahead and pivot the other way. So I'm not saying that's absolutely out of the question. Perhaps, or they just go ahead and keep it with Gunnar at short and Westberg primarily at third and Holiday at second, and then you figure out if Kobe Mayo is kind of a guy that you bounce between first and third. But also, we don't know if somebody could be dealt. I mean, Holiday wasn't untouchable at the deadline. I mean, it would have taken a lot, believe me. But he was, if somebody had made an offer that blew him away, they would have moved him. And I don't know if there were really any untouchables. Maybe Basayo was probably the only one. Right. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that if they get the right deal, they move. And the thing with Westberg is you'd really be rolling the dice that he's going to give you a healthy season. I love the guy, and he has not been able to do it at all. I mean, remember, he was injured before the elbow issue. Yeah. He had something else. I think it was the oblique, right? Camp, before, when he reported, and then they ended up discovering the elbow, and he's had other issues multiple times on the IL. So if you're making any moves to clear a spot for him, you're counting on him to finally give you a full season. And his injury cannot be downplayed at how it hurt this team. Yeah. Defensively at third, because the defense has not been where it needs to be, and he gives great at-bats. He just can't stay on the field. So they're going to have to look at that as well of can we really count on him? You hope, you have your fingers crossed. But I don't think they're looking right now to move Gunnar off short. But I still remember when we were convinced that they were going to continue to bounce him between short and third, and we all wrote it and said it. And then in camp, they were like, day one, oh, no, he's the everyday shortstop. And we were like, oh, okay. So we had that wrong all winter. So I guess we'll find out. But I'm curious about a lot of things with this team. Their shopping list at the deadline, we thought, well, they're going to add, they needed a right-handed hitting outfielder. They needed at least one reliever, certainly a high leverage lefty, another starting pitcher. But they also had all those things they could have traded, and they ended up not getting the high leverage lefty. And the right-handed hitting outfielder right now, Christian Franklin, isn't really a guy who's going to 100% pick up the slack for Taylor Ward. And they ended up keeping Trevor Rogers, and they didn't get. So, I mean, I think it's the same shopping list in the offseason as well. But whatever they do, they need to tighten up the defense. I think that's should be one of the big primary things. I think Westburn could do that, and I think maybe better at third base than second.
Piggybacking on the shopping list for the offseason, I saw the headline yesterday that David Rubenstein said the best owners aren't really concerned about the finances of the organization. What might that mean for some of the guys that we might go out and get? And should I, as a fan, be as excited about that as I was yesterday?
Well, I mean, to a degree. I mean, what they spent on Pete Alonso is $155 million, and the extensions they've given out clearly shows they're willing to spend money, and more so than they did in the past. But they're not going to go all Dodgers on people. They're not going to be the Yankees. They're not going to be, teams like that. So there's still going to be some sort of threshold here, just not where it used to be under previous ownership. So that part's encouraging. But I still don't see them going out necessarily and outbidding every team for like the top free agents. And certainly in pitching, even though they did, make a real run at Ranger Suarez, they made an offer to Corbin Burns, even though there was no way he was going to sign with anybody except Arizona, and look what happened to him. But yeah, I think it just shows the willingness again to spend. Every time there's a press conference with another signing or extension, Rubenstein always says the same thing about there are no constraints, and we've got, we will spend and we'll do what we need to do financially, but they're still not going to go ahead and just, break the bank because they don't feel like they can do that. And that's why, again, we look at a guy like Rutschman. It's like, how much would it have cost to keep him? How much is it going to cost to keep Gunnar Henderson? And would he be willing to do that? Would they be willing to do that? So they'll spend, but I don't think they're going to go all Shohei Ohtani on us.
Roch, last one I got for you. As I'm still thinking about the outfield, and hopefully we're in the no dumb questions part of the class. Is there any chance they try to give Jackson Holliday a run in center field or the outfield? Or when Blaze Alexander comes back, he becomes more of a primary outfielder than an infielder?
Yeah, I think with Holliday, because they've had that opportunity before, and it hasn't happened. I think they really prefer him in the infield. I mean, you always want guys that are versatile that you can go ahead and bounce between infield and outfield, and Blaze is that guy. And I think there's more likely you'll see Blaze once in a while in the outfield. But then we could also argue, because the defense has been so bad this year and they've stressed that's an area, supposedly, remember we kept hearing how the fundamentals and defense, this is what we're stressing. And then Mike Elias basically was like, taking some responsibility that we weren't set up to be a plus defensive team. We have to concentrate on that. Well, bouncing guys back and forth, is that really going to make you a better team defensively? So that's something we're going to have to consider. I don't think they look at Holliday in the outfield, and we can't just assume that because he's been a middle infielder and he's athletic, and that he could also anybody can play center. I don't think they're going to do that with him. Blaze, obviously that's a different story. He's played 6 positions this year, so you could probably move him anywhere. But ideally, you want to go ahead and put guys in a position where they're most likely to succeed to try and tighten up this defense.
Hey, Dan, Roch, my last question for, I was so used to asking him sporadic questions. My last question for you is, about a year ago when it was announced that Elias had gotten the position, the promotion to be a baseball ops director, not GM, there was talk about a general manager being hired. And then at one of the press conferences, he said, well, it's not necessarily going to happen right away. But this year, he sort of let, what's his name, to run the draft. What was the guy who ran the draft for the Orioles' name?
Will Robertson.
Will Robertson, right. Is there a chance that part of Elias staying, because it sure seems like David Rubenstein endorses him every time he gets a chance. Do you think there's a chance that there will be a general manager in place sometime in the next, say, 3 or 4 months?
I mean, there's certainly a chance. I just feel like that was such a back burner thing because we had asked him obviously before. I mean, they didn't even announce the promotion. It kind of leaked out.
Right.
And it was like, oh, yeah, it happened. We got to confirm. But they never made a big deal about it at all. His title was changed. And for a while, I was running president of baseball operations / general manager. And I just got rid of the GM part because it was too wordy and nobody else was using it.
Right.
So there's a chance that they could. But I just feel like at this point, it was something so back burner compared to everything else they've been working on. And I don't know, is it really necessary unless you want to promote somebody from within and give them a different title? I don't know if they'd bring in somebody from the outside.
Right.
So it's possible, but hey, for all we know, they've already had one. They never announced it.
Exactly.
They don't let us in on everything they're doing.
If you were betting, is Trevor Rogers going to be a part of the 27 team?
Oh, that's a good question. I think they certainly if you don't trade him, you make him a qualifying offer.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to, will he take it with the uncertainty with the collective bargaining agreement ending on December 1st and a lockout? Do you go ahead and just bet on yourself and take that 1 year salary, or you go into free agency? And then he's stated clearly he'd like to stay. His agent's probably like, hey, give us some leverage here. But that's great. So you would think that might give the Orioles an edge at least. I'm not saying hometown discount, but if he wants to stay bad enough, I think he's back. I don't know what the odds would be, but if I had to pick yes or no, I think qualifying offer, and either he accepts it or he goes in free agency and the Orioles make an aggressive push to sign him.
All right. Roch, how did Byron do today?
Outstanding.
Yeah, he's outstanding. Thank you very much for joining us.
How you feeling, Stan?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'll be at the next homestand. I'll be there.
This is the only time Stan Charles and hip are ever used in the same sentence.
That's right. I've never been hip before. Thank you, Roch, very much for asking. Appreciate it. It's Roch Kubatko of MASN, one of the legends in the local media here. We're going to take our final timeout, right?
Yes.
Griffin Bass?
Yes, and that first hour, Stan, of course, brought to us by countysports.zone. I want to go there for all the latest on high school sports around Maryland. High school football starting in 3 weeks, Stan. I mean, it's
unbelievable.
Yeah. Get your latest schedules, coaching changes, whatever you need. Go to countysports.zone, powered by BuyAToyota.com.
When we return, we will take a look at this week and the rest of baseball. Bye. This is Stan the Fan. You know we talk all the time about our O's stepping up in the big moments, delivering when it matters most. If you've been injured in a car accident anywhere around Baltimore, that's your big moment, and you need someone who delivers. That's why I'm here to tell you about Warnken Injury Lawyers. They fight for Baltimore families every single day. Insurance companies play games. Warnken plays to win. So call 443-RESULTS. That's 443-RESULTS, or go to warnkenlaw.com. When you need results, it's right there in the number, 443-RESULTS.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
When you feel invisible, exhausted, stressed, or anxious, when you have days that just feel too hard to get through, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health or problems with drugs or alcohol, help is right in your hands. Call or text 988 to get support whenever you need it. Help is here. Call or text 988. Brought to you by Maryland Department of Health.
Don't fumble your fantasy football draft. Host your party at Sports and Social Inside Live Casino. We've got everything you need to make a night a winner, with massive screens, cool drinks, great food, and Wi-Fi that won't drop the ball. Reserve your table by August 20th to enter our early draft bonus drawing. Draft like a pro at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Dave LaMonaco profiles Orioles play-by-play voice Kevin Brown, looking at his rise as an amiable mainstay and one of the top voices in all of baseball. Also inside, Antonio Barbera looks at whether the championship window is narrowing for the Ravens veteran core, and our special travel section with a look at sports tourism options throughout Maryland for you and your family to enjoy this summer. Press Box is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Hi, my name's Colton Cowser, outfitter for the Baltimore Orioles, and you're listening to Griffin Bass, Stan the Fan Charles on the Baseball Show. Let's keep it moving along.
All right, it is moving along. It's 12:07, and I very rarely ever go through the time. On this show because
it's your first show back. It's like your first start after a rehab assignment.
Exactly. Byron Warnken in from Warnken Law, Griffin Bass. I'm Stan the Fan. We continue now with This Week in the Rest of Baseball, and here's Cynthia Berman to tell us who's sponsoring This Week in the Rest of Baseball.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
This week
in the rest of
baseball.
Another busy week in baseball, Stan, of course, and, a trade deadline took center stage for everyone. The Adley Rutschman trade was probably the biggest headliner, I guess, at least from trade deadline day for sure. Him being a former number 1 overall pick and a 3-time All-Star since getting called up by the Orioles, and then being traded to a division rival as well. So that was probably the biggest headline. Obviously, we lived that one, and we've dove into that plenty over the course of the week. Tarek Skubal, I guess, then would probably be the second one. I feel like we all kind of assumed that he was going to get dealt. It was just a question of where. I wasn't too surprised that it ended up being the Dodgers. Late Saturday night is when it finally was officially reported. Definitely fired up a lot of folks as they, said, screw baseball, screw the Dodgers, because this is just what the Dodgers do. They trade for everyone. But, it is fair. Other teams had a chance to trade for him. And it wasn't like it was – this was a good package the Dodgers sent
Milwaukee
back.
and Tampa were the two teams that I know were in the hunt. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Should those two specifically have made a stronger push at it?
Well, I think the problem with those teams is you got the amount of players you got to give up, like what the Red Sox did. You needed a package sort of – I think the Orioles got a better total package for Rutschman than Skubal did. But the Dodgers can re-sign Skubal. They may not, but they can. Milwaukee and Tampa.
But if Milwaukee and Tampa have a chance to win this year,
yeah, I understand that. But you're giving up 3 or 4 prospects. They probably would have. Detroit would have probably wanted more from Milwaukee, and Milwaukee had virtually no chance of signing him. So it was a 2-month rental.
Should teams start blackballing the Dodgers and just not trade with them, refuse to do deals with them?
Okay, you do that.
Yeah.
You do that. Okay.
No, it's not going to work.
It doesn't work very well to blackball it.
Does this have any impact on what's going to happen in the offseason with the new CBA? Like, does this make people more upset, or does it force one side?
Do you get a sense that the CBA or lack of a new CBA impacted the trade deadline at all that much? I don't
think so either. Sorry,
I was asking
Byron.
I was asking Byron Warnken.
It didn't feel like it did to me.
Yeah.
And picking up on the Skubal and why he didn't go to Tampa or Milwaukee, I mean, if I'm a Tampa fan, I got to be sick about it because I'm getting Freddie Peralta, who's given up. He's getting shelled in his first outing. I mean, it was a tough deadline for them.
Yeah. I mean, and if they have the number one farm system, I mean, I feel like you want them to go a bit all in. I don't know.
I'm with you,
I mean,
Griffin.
if you add Skubal to the Rays rotation, I mean, obviously the Red Sox are playing ridiculous baseball right now, like 26-3.
What did Miami get for Liam Hicks? I was shocked that they traded Liam Hicks to Tampa.
Liam Hicks return. Who else? Did the Marlins trade anyone else?
No, they made nothing.
That was the only one. They got Braden Taylor. That was he is now the number 10 prospect in the Miami organization.
Liam Hicks a lot.
Also got a pitcher, Jacob Kisting, and a shortstop, Adrian Santana.
Okay,
who were
so they got 3 players.
26 and 27 on the Rays.
Okay.
Which farm system.
All right.
Yeah, they got three young guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Liam Hicks, a catcher. I guess, this was apparently a hot commodity at the deadline. I don't think he's a guy that you expect to catch every day though, but still a catcher.
No, but he's a catcher DH
under control through 2030. So yeah, that's a pretty good.
I was shocked they dealt him.
It's a pretty good one to get there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so that was one deal. Obviously, Skubal and Rutschman, the top two for sure. Getting dealt. The Blue Jays were an interesting case because they kind of did a little bit of buying and selling. Would we have liked it? Would we have been able to swallow it a little bit more here in Baltimore if the Orioles did something similar to what the Blue Jays did, where the Blue Jays got rid of Kevin Gausman? Obviously, he was on an expiring contract, but that's kind of similar to where Trevor Rogers was at, while also obtaining a controllable pitcher like Jose Soriano. So what if the Orioles had went out and got Soriano or like a Reed Detmers?
I think the Orioles' version of that was not trading Trevor Rogers.
Yeah,
and reacquiring Michael Fleuret.
Yeah,
I think they feel. I think Fleuret will be up sometime.
I like Fleuret too. I mean, he throws hard. He's a big guy, and I mean, he definitely progressed a ton this year. And Tampa knows how to develop pitchers, so. If, the Orioles saw he was really good. Send him down. Maybe
we can just
loan him to Tampa for a year. Let him develop.
Maybe we brought him as a spy. We brought him back. He'll know the secret sauce.
I think it's closer to European soccer, where you got a young guy who looks like a pretty good prospect. Send him to someone who's really good at developing arms, and then bring him right back as he's on the cusp of making his debut. Hopefully, we do see him September. I think it'll be pretty fun.
We haven't seen him yet pitch because he's being debriefed by the Orioles.
learning
secret police.
How did they coach down there in Tampa? But Tampa looking like the Tampa Bay Orioles a little bit, with Brandon Hyde still down there. Cedric Mullins, Brian Baker leading all of baseball in saves, and now Tyler Wells joins that bullpen. So, so the Tampa Bay Rays, some rooting interest there. A lot of former Orioles now and AL East foes. The Phillies, I guess the Phillies didn't obtain a whole lot, but they added Luis Ariz, which felt like a big move. And the other big, news was Bryce Harper, telling Dombrowski that he would be willing to move to the outfield, and he has. In order to help the Phillies, and Ariz contributing right away.
That was the most interesting part of that deal, the Ariz deal, is Ariz made it clear he worked his ass off to become a really good second baseman under Ron Washington, and he wanted to stay at second. So to accommodate that, and I think he was a great pickup for the Phillies. To accommodate that, they've moved Alex Bohm from third base to first, Harper from first to right field, which he hasn't played regularly since 2021 when he was with the Nationals, I think. Or was he with the Phillies? He was with the Phillies. And they moved Bryson Stott from second to third. But Stott is kind of like Jordan Westberg in terms of defensively. He's going to be fine at third. But to move Harper to right field is kind of a risk. But they did, you didn't mention, they picked up 2 pitchers.
Oh, yeah.
Brooks Raley.
Yes, Raley.
And Casey Killiam.
Yes.
Okay, of the Giants, right-handed reliever, and Raley, a left-handed reliever. Go ahead.
So I mean, I think that encourages a lot of Phillies fans, but just anytime I guess you have a star in the league, people were making a big deal about Bryce Harper being willing to move, and we'll see if it works out for the Phillies, who are a similar situation as the Red Sox, where they both fired their managers early in the year, and it worked out for them. Go figure, as the Orioles were not able to do that last year. And then last big one on the trade deadline, the Red Sox, Adley Rutschman, not the only deal they made, as they also brought in, was it Eric Miller, I think, from San Francisco for Marcelo Meyer, which was definitely interesting. They thought that was kind of a cornerstone piece for them, at least. Last year we thought that with Marcelo Meyer, and he had been injured most of this year. And when he was, did he even play at the bigs this year?
He played.
Not well.
I have him on my fantasy team.
That's the issue.
I acquired him, and he was with me about 3 weeks. Did absolutely nothing. For him. And has been on the IL, like the rest of my team.
Roman Anthony, I think, is finally beginning a rehab, though, as Marcelo Meyer gets shipped out.
He should be ready for spring training.
It did force Craig Breslow to deny any beef going on between the two. There were a lot of rumors.
There was a beef between who?
Meyer and Roman Anthony. And that apparently one of them was down rehabbing in Florida, and the other was rehabbing in Boston and staying with the team, and they couldn't be around each other. Wow. Yeah, it was very weird, but Craig Breslow denied any beef with that, and that being it for being any reason why they had to ship Meyer out and pick Roman Anthony over Marcelo Meyer, but he denied all that. Just internet rumors that he did, but it was enough that he had to come out and say something. So that was a peculiar spot in the deadline.
Well, you remember Meyer was that was the fluke year that Boston finished in last place and got the number 4 pick or 3 pick, something like that, and they took Marcelo Meyer because they got
21.
Yeah,
he got 4th overall. So I guess it was 2020 that they stunk.
And he's really was not a quick climber.
They did extend it, right? They signed. Was he one of the guys? No,
I don't think he got extended.
Okay, all right. So, I don't know why I thought he was, but yeah. So those were kind of the big ones.
Okay.
From you're right. They did not give him a. They did not buy out any of his arbitration years, but those were the kind of big ones from the trade deadline in terms of players moving around the league. Mike Krukow, the announcer for the Giants, announces long-time announcer, announces his retirement at the end of the season for the San Francisco
Giants. And his partner is very upset. Dwayne Kuiper said he thought it would never end.
And a lot of talk of hopefully they both go into the Hall of Fame together is what a lot of people are pushing for. They've been together for a while out there in the Bay Area.
Yep.
Jeffrey Yan, you know who that is?
He's a pitching prospect, right?
He is, and he got called up this week as the Mets made moves, obviously shipping out some of their bullpen. Everyone is very, very excited by this guy. I remember seeing him in spring. I think it was this year of spring training, or maybe it was a year ago. I can't remember. But
if they got a guy named Yin, they'd have Yin and Yang.
That's true. So I just want you to watch what he does after he gets strikeouts, and this is every time, Stan.
Every time
he gets a strikeout, he celebrates it. This is courtesy of SNY.
Lefty, and you're to my right, so it's just not going to work. And there's his strikeout, and he leaps in the air and celebrates as only Jeffrey Yan can.
Yes.
He throws that wasn't 100 miles an hour, but he throws 101 miles an hour.
Wow.
And he had 2 strikeouts in his debut.
Like about 27 years old?
I think he is a little bit older. Yeah. That's right. I remember seeing him with the Rockies, I believe, in spring training or something, and he did this in like a spring training game, and it was like, wow.
I would say that a guy that's 27, that's just really getting to the bigs, maybe if he concentrated more on his pitching. This is what he does, Stan. Than his
No, this is what he does though every
time.
time. This is what he does every time.
Good.
So
Good for him.
It's given the Mets one thing
Byron
to smile
does
about.
that every time he settles a case.
Really?
I do.
He does that.
I do.
That'd be pretty.
He goes
around
into
the
his office.
We ring the bell. Yeah.
He's the first Mets fans are excited. He's the first Met to throw 100 miles an hour this season. So it's kind of the one bright spot they've had all year. Matt Olson is coming for Cal Ripken.
Yeah.
Played in his 896th consecutive game Wednesday.
They said it would never be broken.
Yep. 8th longest streak, in consecutive game streak in MLB history.
Wow. He's already at the 8th?
Yes. And then
he's only got like 10 more years, right?
It would take if he's approaching 900, so he'd have to reach when did Cal finally stop?
30.
Oh, he's not going to catch it.
Yeah, he's got no shot.
He's got no. I mean, maybe if he plays until he's like 45.
Yeah. I'll be dead when he finishes.
No, don't say that, Stan. And then last one, Tyler Stevenson was kind of he had a very emotional post-game interview on the field with the Reds Sunday after their game.
After not being traded.
This was before the deadline. He thought he was obviously with all the movement with catchers. He thought he was definitely a big candidate. They did not move him. Then he did another interview and was very relieved. And then it was a little funny. Zach Cozart, obviously a longtime Cincinnati Red, came out and said, I went through the same thing a lot. Always felt like I was going to be traded and never wanted to. I regret that. I really wish I had been sent to a team
and played
and gotten into the playoffs. Yeah. So that was what Zach Cozart said in response to seeing all the discourse around Tyler Stevenson. But yeah, that was your this week.
That's it for this week and the rest of baseball.
That's right.
All right, Byron. This is
where are folks finding this, Stan?
Last week or 10 days of getting Magic in the Booth. Profile by Dave LaMonaco on Kevin Brown.
Where are people finding this?
You can find it at over 300 locations in and around Baltimore.
I was at the game.
Many highs.
I was at the game a couple weeks ago, and Decker, my older son, says to me, "Dad, there you are!" And there's somebody in the row in front of us had the press box open, and my picture was up there. And I said, that's press box, buddy.
All right.
There I am.
All right. Byron Warnken, of course, a friend of the show's and also sponsor of my MLB Power Rankings, which are in week 20 already. It's hard to believe. I'll snap my fingers and I'll be working on my book for next year. You know, it's unbelievable. I put a lot of time and effort into this book.
Yeah.
This is my book.
This was one of the selling points when you.
Well, my biggest selling point was you were complaining to us about how you're so busy, and I said, well, that's one of the great things about advertising with us. We won't get you any business.
I wasn't going to say that on the air, Stan.
And I was a man,
John. I didn't say that.
And was I a man? Was I a man of my word?
No, I'm still too busy.
We do appreciate your friendship and support.
Absolutely, right. I'm always happy to be with you guys.
What was I going to say?
When are you
excited about the Raven season coming up?
I am. Powerhouse wide receiver room. I think the defense is going to be strong. I'm
excited about the defense. Yeah,
I'm very excited. Yeah,
I'm excited about the totality. Anything but Harbaugh would have been exciting to me. They could have named you coach, and I would have loved it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything in the offing for people that sign up for WarnkenLaw.com?
Any craziness?
Yeah.
I looked at it. I looked at the Ravens odds this year.
Yeah.
And we're near the favorites.
Yeah.
We're
like third behind the Rams and Seattle.
That's right. So I don't think I get tremendous value there, because it is essentially a gambling play.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. Not yet. Although I think I'm going to do something sort of weekly.
Okay.
But they pursue their trademark pretty aggressively. So
I'll bet they do.
I got to be careful.
I'll bet they do. All right, that's going to wrap us up for this week.
Are you going to be on Monday?
I'll be on Monday with Griffin and Ross Grimsley on Monday.
Not myself or Luke? I'm going on with you Monday?
No.
You said Griffin. I just want to make sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Luke
That's
and
all right. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no, you're never on that show. You're too big.
I'm not invited. Oh, okay.
We don't need class on that show because I got Ross Grimsley.
That's true. That's true.
We are going to be on next Friday.
Yes.
But we're going to do something a little bit different,
That's
right?
True.
You're going to be on
remotely.
Zoom and I'll be
Yes.
at home on
Yep.
Zoom. Okay.
Yep.
My first week back from my hip surgery. I'm knock on wood. I'm doing well.
Looking good, Stan.
Thanks to my wife for making sure I'm using my walker and cane and things like that. But we're doing good.
And then sprints in between all that.
Yes.
Jumping jacks.
Anyway, Orioles again. Want to remind you tonight on Apple at 8:00.
Shane Boz versus Nathan Eovaldi.
And tomorrow on Fox at we believe 7:15.
Yes.
With Kyle Bradish against Jacob deGrom. All right. Sunday back on MASN. Then Dean Kramer Monday night.
Yep. Cade Povich versus Kumar Rocker on Sunday. And then, as they haven't confirmed anything, but it looks like Rogers versus Kramer on Monday.
Ooh, okay.
Awesome.
I like that. I like that. And one last thing. Tomorrow night is Anthony Ianson.
Yes, in Chesapeake.
Tomorrow night.
In Chesapeake. That is correct. That is correct.
Who that is.
You're an important guy, Stan.
Yeah, I am an important guy.
You got it.
There
okay.
we go. We figured out how to turn that off. All right. That's going to do it for today.
Thanks to Dan Duquette, Roch Kubatko.
Thanks to Dan Duquette and Roch Kubatko and Byron Warnken, the one and only.
Thanks for having me, guys.
That's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Baseball Show. You'll be with us again in September?
Absolutely.
Sometime? All right. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. Glenn's back on Monday. I'll talk to you then. Bye.
Wait a minute. It's Friday? It's time for Stan the Fan, Chief Grand Poobah Man, and the Friday Baseball Show.